What's up, guys? Ron Harris here, MD Online Editor. I was doing a show with Dr. George Touliatos this morning, Asked Dr. Testosterone. The question came up that really didn't really fit into that category of the type of questions we answer there. It was a natural bodybuilder looking for a lot of general advice on different things, and that wasn't the time and place, so I wanted to make a dedicated video to that because I was a natural bodybuilder myself for many years, believe it or not, from ages 14 to 27. And then in the ensuing years, there were times where I would take a year or more off of steroids. But I do know that I have that perspective. I competed in natural bodybuilding myself from 1989 to 1995. Didn't win anything, took second by it. I was still really figuring out the whole contest prep thing. Didn't have a coach. Took second in the natural California, second in the natural Los Angeles. I lived out there for a while. Stack. Yeah, we're talking about natural bodybuilding, so questions about drugs, yeah, not the time or place. So I want to get into that because I know a lot of the people out there, a lot of the bodybuilders out there, I'd venture to say that the majority of bodybuilders out there are natural. They're not using steroids. I know a lot of them are into peptides and prohormones and things like that, and we'll get into that in a bit, but for the most part, a lot of bodybuilders out there do not take steroids. They have no interest in taking steroids, don't want to. And you know what? I applaud your decision. I do believe steroids are a personal choice, but they definitely have an impact on your health. Some people, I've been very, very fortunate. I thank God. I've been very, very fortunate. Have no major health problems related to the steroid use of over 20 years. Just good genetics, just lucky. My heart's fine. I have a little calcium. I take a statin for that now at a very low dose, and I'm fine. Heart, lungs, kidney, liver, I get blood work and everything. I'm a lot more moderate in my use now. I'm 51 years old. I'm not blasting grams of steroids like I was back in the day. There was a time when I was taking pretty large amounts. But let me get back to the natural people out there. You're making the healthy decision. As a natural, we rarely hear pros' opinions about this topic. I'm not a pro. I should be a pro. I've beaten a lot of guys that are pros now, and there are some guys who have turned pro that I know that I would have kicked their asses on stage, but they got very lucky. Don't get me started because then I sound like a tool. So training when you're natural versus training enhanced, it's not that different. We all train the same. Let's see your question. Best training method to get big, not strong naturally. Yeah, I'm not interested in getting strong. I never really was. I mean, I enjoyed being stronger, and I pushed myself with heavier weights, and I wanted to get stronger just because I knew if I could get stronger over time, I would get bigger. And as long as your reps aren't very low, like powerlifter reps, like 3, 4, 5 reps, as long as you include reps in the hypertrophy range, 8 to 12, 12 to 15, you're going to get muscle growth, especially as long as the weights keep moving up. Yeah, I do know enough. I'm a professional in bodybuilding, even though I'm not a pro bodybuilder. I've been doing this for 37 years now, guys. 37 years. I'm sure a lot of you guys aren't even 37 years old, right? So the training is going to be very, very similar. You do need to respect recovery a little more. And, we're all different in that aspect. If I say you shouldn't train more than 3 days a week or 4 days a week, someone's going to pipe in and say, but I'm natural. I train 6 days a week and I make great gains. See, someone else, I work, I coach people occasionally, very occasionally. There are people out there, especially if they're a little older, who shouldn't train more than every other day with weights. They need that, especially if they have a physically demanding job, they need that time to recover. So the training volume, the frequency, generally speaking, should probably be a little less because steroids do have this very powerful anti-catabolic effect. They enhance your recovery. It's not so much that they're anabolic. Yeah, everything you do, and even as a natural, when you're training, you're doing that's anabolic, but you're always dealing with the catabolic side. You're trying to build up in the body, you're trying to get bigger, and your body's always trying to stay in homeostasis. It's trying to keep you the same because it doesn't want that extra metabolic cost of all that extra muscle mass. What's this say? I totally agree with you. You can improve a lot naturally. Yeah. Heavy duty system. Yeah, as far as which training system is best for naturals, if you have great results with heavy duty, that's awesome. You should try that. You should try the low, the high intensity, lower volume, lower frequency. Try that, but you should also try more frequency, more volume, because you don't know. There's no universal system that's going to work best for everybody. We are all individuals. We have different metabolisms, different activity levels, different genetics. Learn over the years, you have to give yourself time to grow. Yeah, I should have made that a point. Is to have realistic expectations. And by that, I don't mean to say that you shouldn't think you can grow. When should I add more weight and how much should I add and which monthly? Yeah. Man, I'll have to get to all these questions later. But, to look at the guys who are on steroids and think, I'm going to look like that, it's going to take me more effort, it's going to take me more time. You're not going to look like that. And I don't want to be negative. I'm not trying to discourage you. That's a look that's chemically enhanced. If steroids didn't have such a powerful effect on increasing muscle size, people wouldn't use them. Bodybuilders wouldn't use them, I should say, because we use them for the cosmetic effect. We're not interested in performance. I've often heard people say, natural guys tell other naturals, you can look like the guys in the Olympia and the Arnold. It's just going to take you longer. Let me tell you, you could live to be 1,000 years old. Even if you have great genetics, someone with great genetics who's natural is not going to be as big as someone with great genetics who's on steroids. Steroids, they enhance that. They make you bigger than you would be naturally. They do come with a lot of risks. So, that's why I say I applaud all of you who have made the decision to stay natural. It's by far the healthier way to be a bodybuilder. Bodybuilding should be healthy. It was designed to be a sport of health and longevity and vitality. Those are the ideals when the sport was starting out, 30s, 40s, 50s. And when the drugs crept into the picture, it became more about the look, not so much being strong and healthy, just having that freakish look as the years went by, it became more and more so. So, don't compare yourself to those guys, and don't worry that you're not as big as they are or you're not as ripped. You will be able to get ripped. We'll get into that later too. But to be that big and that ripped at the same time, it requires drugs. It's a drug look. That's why the tested shows, the people who aren't tested have a different look than the natural shows. And I'll get into that. Your nutrition does have to be on point. I do find that people on drugs, they can get away with eating a lot more shit food, for lack of a better term. Especially if you have a lot of extra muscle mass. Muscle mass burns a lot of calories at rest. So if you have a tremendous amount of muscle mass, you can get away with eating junk here and there, and it's not going to show, and you're not going to get fat like a natural guy would because your metabolism is cranking at a higher rate. The rest, that goes into the recovery issue. Everybody should be getting enough rest. But like I said, steroids are already anti-catabolic. And if you're not using steroids, if you don't have that working in your favor, the anti-catabolic effects of these drugs, you are going to have to be more conscientious and more diligent about getting enough sleep, taking days off from the gym. If you're starting to feel run down, that's a general rule of thumb. Best advice for natural biologists is to start taking gear. Ha ha ha. That's a good one. No, you know what? It's an individual decision. I don't tell people not to take gear. If you're an adult, that's your choice. Think bodybuilders back in the day read more before? No. Bodybuilders back in the old days, I don't know how far back you're thinking. Vegetarian, oh yikes. Yeah, it's got to be doing it as a vegan bodybuilder, vegan natural bodybuilder. Oof. God love you, kid. God love you, guy. No, I don't think the guys in the old days did a lot of that. But like I said, if you're a natural, if you're not using drugs, you don't have that anti-catabolic effect of the drugs. So you are going to have to pay attention to getting enough sleep. You can't be staying out and partying. Drinking and drugging is not a good scenario for any bodybuilder. But if you're natural, it's going to have more of a negative impact on your training, your recovery, the way you look. No booze, no drugs. Eat good, but most important, train regularly. Yeah. Yeah, it should go without saying you have to be consistent. What was my largest deadlift? Derek deadlifts. I'm sure yours is quite up there. Tribulus. I never deadlifted much. I used to do, I hurt my lower back in my late 20s doing very heavy squats. My best squat was 725. I didn't go all the way down, so I don't really count it as 725, but my lower back sure felt that 725. I hurt my back so bad. The most I ever deadlifted before I jacked up my back was nothing special, 405 for like 10. I used to do rack deadlifts from the knees up. On those, I would go up to 6. I think I did 7 plates for a few reps one time, just from the knees up. It's a partial rep, whatever. Next thing I want to address is the supplements. I think a lot of natural bodybuilders put too much emphasis on these test boosters and these gray market drugs that aren't steroids like... Yeah, I don't do deadlifts. My lower back wouldn't let me, so they're not even in my thought process anymore. A lot of the natural guys out there, they're using these peptides. They're injecting peptides, They'll use all kinds of pro-hormones, they're really oral steroids, but they can say, well, I didn't buy anything illegal. Vegetarian, natty, welterweight, some guys who use, easier for smaller. Yeah, I'm going to get into that as far as competing and what shows to compete in, and what when drugs play more of a factor in the non-tested shows. So supplements, they're definitely not a waste of time, but don't look to supplements to do all the work for you. Of course, that goes without saying for anybody. But for the natural guys out there, if you're going to spend all this money on pro hormones and take all these peptides and stuff, you're on drugs anyway. You might as well just go on drugs. You're not really natural anymore anyway. So I would just say have your test levels tested. If you need to be on TRT, which most of you won't until you're in your late 30s, early 40s probably. Most of the natural bodybuilding enhancement kind of stuff are just scams. Better you begin taking care. Well, like I said, the pro hormones, the pills, they were all oral steroids. That's all they were. You're better off just getting D-ball or something. It's usually cheaper to get like some D-ball than it is some pro hormone. Body parts, too bad. No, random question. All right, so that I covered that. Let's go competing. If you're natural, I would say 9 times out of 10, 9 times out of 100, you're better off competing in natural shows, tested shows, whatever you want to call them. I know a lot of guys who take it as a point of pride, saying I'm natural, I beat these guys on gear. Great, that will happen up to a certain point, and then you're not gonna be able to beat these guys anymore. Steroids work, and it does come down to weight classes too. The lighter the weight class you're in, being a natural, best supplements, creatine, vitamin A, yeah, those are the basics. I mean, basic supplements will always be fine. Protein powders, multivitamin, creatine, a pre-workout. Those are basic. There's nothing crazy about those. But I do know a lot of guys, natural guys. They want to compete and they think, well, this show's coming up. I say, well, that you can do that show. Just know it's not a tested show. You're going to be up against people that are on drugs. The higher up the weight divisions you go. So if you're like a bantamweight, a lightweight, maybe a middleweight, steroids don't play that big of a role in those physiques. These aren't big guys anyway. You'll notice as the weight classes go up, the guys don't get much taller. They just get bigger. So the height for most of these guys, regardless of the weight class, is going to be like typically 5'5" to 5'10", whether you're talking lightweight, middleweight, welterweight, light heavy, heavy, super heavy. Super heavy might be taller, obviously, but a lot of times the height doesn't change much. The guys just keep getting bigger and bigger. So if you're in a lighter weight division, say you're 5'6" and you compete at 154, you're natural. If you have really good shape, you'll do pretty well in non-tested shows against other lightweights. You don't see too many, 4'11", 154-pound juiced out of their skull guys in bodybuilding in non-tested shows. The day you take steroids, the day all day before was equal to 0. Yeah, once you take steroids, even if you take them once, everyone's going to say, well, you took steroids. That's why you look, Even if you took them once 20 years ago, people say, well, yeah, you took steroids. So, if you want to keep your natural status and that credibility and people attributing all your gains to your hard work, don't take any steroids, ever. Because as soon as you do, there's always going to be a lot of people who will say, it was all the drugs. So, compete in natural shows. There's plenty of natural organizations. The NPC has tested shows, which are different, obviously. I competed in natural organizations from 89 to 95. I did ANBC, which is long gone, and ABCC, which they're long gone too. Geez. And then I started doing NPC tested shows, which I was doing them as a lifetime natural athlete in 94 and 95. I did 4 of them, yeah. But they stipulate 1 year clean. So you're going up against a lot of past users, maybe current users who are cheating. I don't know. If you really want to compete on a level playing field with other natural bodybuilders, look into natural federations. If you've used steroids in the past and you don't use them anymore and you don't want to use them anymore, NPC has tested shows that give you that opportunity. And, I know a lot of people are going to shit all over that and say, well, these guys were... That's not natural. Okay, it's not, whatever, you guys can argue that shit all day long, and you do. So what's natural, what's not natural? Like I said, once you've done drugs once, a lot of people will say you're never natural ever again, even if you did them for like 1 day. I am from Boston. Yeah, that's true. But like I said, if you're gonna compete in non-tested shows where people can use steroids, small world, Rhode Island, yeah. Rhode Island's very, I was going down to Rhode Island when the gyms in Mass were closed because Rhode Island gyms were open up before ours. So I'd head down to Woonsocket, Providence, anyway, Cranston. Yeah, the higher up in the weight divisions, once you get into like light heavies, especially super heavies, the guys are on a lot of stuff. They're on a lot of gear. So if you're 6'2", let's say you're 6'2" and you're 205 pounds ripped, you're natural, you might be up against, well, heavyweight only goes to 225. So you'll be up against someone who might be 5'7", 225 ripped. You're going to look like a string bean. So, you know, a phrase that we've used before is don't bring a knife to a gunfight. If you want to be on a level playing field and you have a knife, you're natural. That's a silly analogy, I know. Go to a knife fight with other guys who are fighting with knives. Don't walk in with a bunch of guys with AK-47s. They're gonna kill you. I know, that's terrible, right? So, next point, stay lean. If you're a natural bodybuilder, you're always better off staying, I don't want to use pounds, like stay 10 pounds within 15 pounds. You should stay lean enough so you can always see some outline of your abs, a little bit of the serratus, a little bit of separation in the quads. You should see some separation between all the muscle groups. If you can't, if it's all like one doughboy mass, one fluffy mass, you're too fat. And the problem with that is, you know, as a natural, you can carry a lot of mass and a lot of fat at the same time, but you can't carry a lot of mass and be shredded at the same time. What happens when you have a lot of mass and a lot of fat and you diet down as a natural bodybuilder, your testosterone levels crash. You end up losing about half muscle, half fat as you diet. It happened to me over and over and over again when I competed naturally, and it frustrated the shit out of me because I'd start my diet at 230 pounds, very chunky 230, okay? I was 5'8", 5'8 and a half. And I would get down to like, you know, 175, 180, and I'd be like, where'd all that muscle go? Granted, I didn't have as much muscle as I thought I had. When I looked in the mirror at 230, a lot of what I was looking at was fat, and I thought it was muscle. When I dieted down, I realized, man, I wasn't as big as I thought. But I also lost a good amount of muscle dieting down. You can't, especially the faster. I used to diet like in my 20s when I was doing the natural shows, late teens. I would diet for 8 weeks. That's it. So either very gradually diet, or I think you're just better off. Your best case scenario as a natural bodybuilder is stay lean. You look better anyway. Everybody looks better lean. And if you don't carry a lot of muscle mass, you're better off lean. You look so much better. People worry too much about accepting them as natural. That never works. Yeah, we'll be there soon. That's my next thing. Staying lean. When it does come time for you to compete, assuming you guys are going to compete, it won't be that brutal on your body. Your test levels won't crash to the same degree, and you won't lose as much muscle. You'll retain a lot more of your muscle mass because you'll notice at these natural shows, guys and girls, but guys, I've seen some guys at natural shows that are shredded. They're not big, you know, they're not huge. Then you'll see some guys in the show who are big, but they didn't come in shape. Like I said, that's the issue as a natural bodybuilder, is you kind of have to pick and choose. You're either going to be big and soft, or you're going to be smaller and shredded. It's just, steroids help you retain that muscle mass as you diet down. You know, you can go on low calories, low carbs, do a lot of cardio, and if you're on a ton of steroids, your chances of holding on to all your muscle are much better than if you're doing all that and you're not on steroids. 12% body fat. I don't like to use percentages because it looks different on different people. Like I said, that's why I go by. You should be able to see your abs, serratus, some muscle separation. Your face shouldn't be completely round. That's another reason I even though I'm on gear, I stay leaner, just because I don't want my face bloated out like a freaking pumpkin. Last point I want to make, best advice, and this is something I did. I hated on guys on drugs for years. I wasted so much mental energy, so much of my time just worrying about all these guys on drugs and going, feeling superior to them, being angry at them, being jealous of them, pointing out to people that I was natural. Guys, trust me that nobody cares. Nobody cares, because most people, if you have any amount of muscle and you tell people, well, I'm drug-free, they're not going to believe you anyway. They're just going to assume you're lying. If you look good, if you have a good physique, even if you're drug-free, and some of you guys have great genetics and you can have very good looking, very good physiques drug-free, you won't be 250 pounds ripped, but you look pretty damn good. Don't bother advertising, broadcasting your natural status, because trust me when I say that Nobody cares except for the other natural guys who are trying to make sure everyone knows they're natural too. Learn right, train hard, eat right, be consistent. Yeah. Only losers use steroids. Oh, well, health is numero uno. It's health, actually. There's an H at the end of that word. Yeah, don't just focus on yourself, guys. And, this is a battle I struggle with this every day as far as other people. Just don't compare yourself to other people. Don't waste your time. It is a complete waste of time. It does nothing to make your life better, to improve you and your station in life. None of that stuff. What's this? I agree. A lot of people don't understand. Even when someone accuses me of using juice, say I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, most times, like I said, society has been so conditioned. Everyone knows about steroids. They're not a secret anymore. People know that steroids are used. People understand that it's not just pro athletes or elite athletes. They're used by the average Joe walking down the street nowadays. Your average gym rat, plenty of them. So if you look good, if you have any amount of muscle mass, people are going to think you're on drugs anyway. So you can try to convince them and think you take drugs. Yeah, take it as a compliment. Am I on HRT? I am on HRT. I do it myself, and I add in a little bit of DECA or equipoise, things like that. You don't need to go into my whole cycle. That's neither here nor there. But I'm 51 years old, guys. So I don't know if you realize. It's hard to tell, I know. But yeah, I'm 51. But that's my best advice for natural bodybuilders. And I do have the perspective, having been a natural bodybuilder, I still know a lot of natural bodybuilders. I don't follow all the natural organizations because my job with Muscular Development, we're focused on the big shows, the IPB Pro League shows, the NPC national shows, the pro qualifiers and things like that. So I don't really follow Muscle Mania and what else do they have anymore? I don't even know. I don't even know what the organizations are anymore. Thank you. I appreciate it. I am healthy, thank God. I get regular medical exams, all kinds of heart scans, blood work. I'm very, very fortunate. That's why I say don't do as I say, not as I do, because a lot of friends, I've lost a lot of friends. A lot of friends I've had that were my age or even younger, they're dead now, or some of them have had major, major health problems with their heart or their kidneys or liver, something like that, related directly or indirectly to their steroid use. Any news of Mahmoud Al-Dura? What? Yeah, you Middle Eastern fans are the best. You really are, because we could be talking about anything and somebody will say Big Ramy or Dura. God bless you. I'm sure a lot of the American bodybuilders wish they had fans that were that loyal and that dedicated, like you guys are. You're great fans. No wonder everyone goes to Kuwait. It's people appreciate bodybuilding over there. So that's it, guys. I hope that I believe natural bodybuilders is an endangered species. Yeah, I agree that golden era bodybuilding. I think just because of the culture, people want everything now. We're in this instant gratification culture with shit. You can watch movies instantly. Everything's now. I don't want to sound like an old guy, but I am an old guy. We used to send letters in the mail. It used to take us years to have a conversation with something. We used to have pen pals in other countries. It would take years to have a conversation. Now you can do all that on WhatsApp or AOL Messenger or whatever. It's crazy. So people don't want to wait years to build a physique. They'd rather take some steroids and build it much, much faster. And as far as the risks, when you're a young guy, you're not worried about that stuff. You're going to live forever. Nothing bad's ever going to happen to you. You don't know anyone that's ever had a heart attack or cancer or liver disease. You don't know anyone that's had issues like that your age. So you're like, whatever, dude. No, I looked actually, when I look back at myself as a natural, I sometimes I wish I had stayed that way, but I had that curiosity, like what would I look like? What would steroids do for me? And I would have always had that. It would have always been gnawing away at me. So I had to see. And like I said, luckily, I've been very, very fortunate with my health. I didn't build a Mr. Olympia physique, obviously. I'm writing about those guys. I make a living, covering the sport. Thank God. I'm grateful for that. I talk to these guys all the time, and I'm a fan of bodybuilding. I'm always going to be a fan of bodybuilding. Still love going to shows. I appreciate all the physiques, natural, not natural. Anyone that works hard and builds a good physique, I appreciate it. I first meet Mahmoud. Where'd I meet Dura? I think I met him one of the Toronto pros a few years ago. Maybe it was the first time. Maybe it was 2017. Not sure. I've interviewed Mahmoud a few times. If you look up Ronline Report, Mahmoud Al-Dura, I think I've had him on like 4 times now. He's cool. I love talking to him. He's very intelligent, funny, cool guy. He's got an Audi R. Does he have an R8? Yeah, he's got a cool car. Family man. He's got kids. Big Rami. Yeah, currently in my city now. Alexandria, Egypt. Yeah, they used to have a great library there like thousands of years ago. That's it, guys. I've been talking long enough. Appreciate it, you guys watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hit the bell so you get notifications. If you like these videos, please share them, guys. I can always use more views, and I appreciate it. You know, we're nobody without you guys, the viewers. So have a great day, and you natural bodybuilders, I do salute you. I was one of you for many years. I know it's tougher. You have to work longer and harder to get the same results. And at the end of the day, you don't get the same results. You don't get the same rewards, that freaky look. So, you know, it's commendable what you're doing. And in the long run, you're better off. You're not taking chances with your health. You're going to live longer. You're going to be healthier. And, you know, bodybuilding is only something you can enjoy for part of your life. It's not, it shouldn't be your whole life. So that's it. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.